If the high table is the engine of the underworld in the John Wick universe, then the Continental Hotels are the wheels that help it run. From what we have observed in the John Wick movies so far, these hotels are situated in almost every major city around the world, and they serve as a sanctuary, a neutral ground for the assassins and other members of this massive organization. The movies, however, do not shed much light on the origins of the Continental Hotels and their history. In this video, we will try to theorize the possible backstory of these hotels from the subtle hints that the John Wick canon offers. Before we go into our explanation, we do have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This may be a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. How old are the Continental Hotels? Given how important the Continental Hotels are in the proper functioning of the high table, it is safe to assume that these hotels are almost as old as the organization itself. The high table is believed to be older than any government on earth, and its history can be traced back to ancient times. Some theories even suggest that the organization dates back to the times of the Aztecs. Now, even if the global hotel chain didn't probably exist as early as back then, there was probably a more primitive facility which served as a shelter for the assassins from the ancient era. Over time, things may have been developed and modernized, which eventually led to the Continental Hotels that we see in the movies. Even these hotels seem to be decades old, which can be inferred from their architectural style. The Continental New York, for instance, has a vintage and timeless feel to it, and both the interior designs and the architecture hint at a rich history and tradition. It can easily be over 100 years old, and the same can be said about almost all other Continental hotels. Osaka Continental in John Wick Chapter 4 seems to be the fanciest and most modern among the hotels, and it could have been either because it was set up late or because it was modernized in the recent past. Who set up the first Continental Hotel? Every possible theory explored. The John Wick lore consciously maintains an air of mystery around certain things, and there is no clear information regarding how the first Continental Hotel was set up or who was behind this elaborate system of a global hotel chain. However, certain conclusions can be drawn from what we have observed so far, and one of these educated guesses might be the truth behind the mystery. The high table understood the necessity for a safe retreat for its assassins and other members. For swiftly conducting business, it is extremely important that there is a common ground for them to assemble, and a hotel chain spread across all the major cities around the world seemed like a perfect plan. It is also a place that holds an element of sanctity in the underworld because no violence is permitted on the hotel premises. Thus, it also becomes a place for diplomatic business discussions and deals, and everything can be done discreetly since the hotel is a property of the organization. A safe place for facilitating communication, cooperation, and business in the underworld is as good as a gold mine, and it makes sense why the organization that monitors and regulates all forms of crime would want such a facility. While this appears to be the most likely origin story, a few other fan theories cannot be ruled out. Since the Continental Hotels mainly cater to the needs of the assassins, there is a possibility that the hotel network was established by some legendary assassin in the past. Maybe he realized the need for such a facility during his working days, and after retiring, he invested in this project, which would serve assassins for generations to come. It would also become a very profitable business for his own crime family, and eventually the control of the hotels might have shifted to the high table as a whole. Given the business opportunities, there is also a chance that some affluent, enigmatic businessman with connections with the underworld had the idea of providing such specialized services in a safe environment and set up the hotels. This would have served his wealth creation options and also regulate his relations with the underworld for the better. The Continental Hotels could have been set up by a powerful crime family, or as a collective decision from all the major ones to be the peacekeeper. Things can take a violent turn in the underworld very quickly, and these wise men must have realized the need for a peaceful facility where differences could be settled amicably. It became the assuring peace of order in the world of chaos and violence, and the Continental Hotels could have been functioning since then. This would also explain the importance associated with following the fundamental rule of no violence on continental grounds. In the context of the John Wick movie so far, these are the possible theories we could cook up, but feel free to let us in on your thoughts and ideas as well. How many Continental hotels are there canonically? The 4 John Wick movies so far have introduced us to quite a few branches of the Continental. The first and the most important one would have to be the Continental New York, which is run by John's old and trusted friend Winston, who is the manager. His concierge, Sharon, also helps in the smooth functioning of the hotel, and they both offer some invaluable help and services to John during his quest for revenge. The New York Continental is an essential part of the story arc in all 4 movies, and it also gets deconsecrated briefly for Winston's unfair biases towards the titular assassin. In John Wick Chapter 2, we also get a glimpse of the Rome Continental, where Julius serves as the manager. He is just as serious about enforcing the fundamental rule of no violence on Continental grounds as Winston is, and this hotel offers a brief respite for John Wick as he is attacked by his enemies. In John Wick Chapter 3, there are talks about the Moroccan Continental, but we don't get to see the hotel. However, we are introduced to the fierce and capable manager of this hotel, Sophia, who lends a helping hand to John and helps him reach the Elder, the leader of the high table. The recent release portrays the gorgeous and glamorous Osaka Continental, which seems to be just as modernized as the city. Here, the manager, Shimazu Koji, risks his own life to help John escape from the attack of the high table mercenaries. His concierge, Akira, also proves to be a remarkable fighter, and she escapes with John after taking down dozens of enemies. In the comic book story arc, which has been declared canonical, John Wick is led to the Continental El Paso by Sharon, who probably worked there before his stint at the New York Continental. Besides these hotels, there are speculations about Continental Los Angeles being featured in an upcoming spin-off project titled The Continental. Although we don't get to see these hotel chains in some other major cities, we have reasons to believe that there is also Continental hotels in cities like Paris and Berlin, given the volume of assassin traffic that we have seen in these places.
Room 880.
What services do these hotels provide? The Continental hotels do a lot more than just providing a safe haven for the assassins and members of the high table. Anyone checking in can also avail a variety of services that might be required for their business. Besides the usual hotel facilities like food and laundry services, there are a bunch of specialized ones reserved for the assassins. The hotels can arrange for transportation, and if it is for John Wick, they don't mind shelling out their finest cars. The hotels also provide medical facilities which can be life-saving for an injured assassin, and John Wick gets his wounds treated in the first movie after getting shot. One of the most important services provided by the Continental hotels is the ample supply of invaluable information. They can make the work a lot easier for the assassin by helping him with information about their targets. However, this service might be reserved for special customers like John Wick, who have a more personal relationship with the hotel manager and the concierge. These hotels can also supply the assassins with arms and ammunition as required, as the armory of the Continental Hotel in New York has an impressive collection of high-end guns and bullets. Even Charlie, the professional crime scene cleaner, works in accordance with the Continental hotels, and his services can help the assassins get rid of any evidence in a matter of minutes. One can also get peaceful meeting spaces in the Continental hotels, which means business transactions can be conducted with the assurance of security and secrecy. These varieties of services and facilities provided by the Continental make it very clear why it is such an integral part of the high table for its smooth functioning.
The high table has asked me to step down.
The hour.
What is the role of the manager of the Continental? The manager of the Continental Hotel is a position of great power, and this individual also has a lot of responsibilities on his shoulders. The manager oversees the hotel operations, and he is helped by a concierge who serves as his right-hand man. The manager is also the primary enforcer of all the hotel rules, primarily ensuring that the hotel premises are safe for the guests, and violence is avoided on hotel premises at all costs. He also has the authority to penalize those who defy these rules, and the punishment can be an execution or declaring that individual excommunicado, which is essentially a death warrant. The manager must also remain neutral at all times, and his loyalty must only be towards the high table. When Winston breaks these rules in order to help John Wick, his position is threatened and the hotel is deconsecrated. The Continental managers can also help out their guests with the resources that they seek. Winston gives John a special treatment with information that he probably doesn't share with other other assassins checking in, but that's just because of the history between them. The manager is the link that joins the criminal underworld with the high table, and he is the monitoring tool used by the organization to keep a tab on the activities in the region. It has been revealed that the Continental manager also keeps a written record of every bounty that is declared and every assassination that is carried out. The high table trusts him with all the relevant data for safekeeping, and it just shows how important he is for the organization. We hope to learn more about the manager's position in the upcoming TV series The Continental, which is supposed to explore the backstory of Winston and Sharon.
I have you for 2 nights?
Depending on business.
How is the concierge an important asset for the Continental hotels? The manager might be the man in charge of the hotel, but he would be in some serious trouble without the assistance of his trusted concierge, especially if he is someone as capable as Sharon. The concierge is the face of the hotel and takes care of daily business without requiring the manager's direct intervention. He checks the guests into the hotel and accepts their special mode of payment. He also leads them to the manager if they request an audience with him, and the concierge is also the man in charge of providing any essential services that the guests might desire. They are also skilled fighters, which is evident from the way Sharon fights alongside John Wick when the hotel is attacked. Even Akira, the concierge of Osaka Continental, has proved herself to be a great fighter. They are extremely resourceful, and for most of the major issues they are capable of sorting it out without the manager having to worry about it. It also seems like the loyalties of the concierge lie with the manager of the hotel more than the high table, and Sharon doesn't hesitate to take up arms against the organization in order to protect Winston. Both the manager and the concierge handle the Continentals and ensure a smooth service for the guests, and the high table depends quite a bit on them for their loyalty. Can a regular civilian check into these Continental hotels? This is quite a debatable topic because there are views supporting both sides. While we don't really see too many regular civilians who are not associated with the underworld check into these hotels, it would make sense to offer regular services for the revenue. These are high-end hotels that offer a variety of services, and the assassins can check in using a single gold coin, which wouldn't make these facilities profitable. Apart from the financial benefits of alarming civilians, there are also a few instances in the movies that suggest normal people using the hotels as well. There are secret passageways and hallways that are meant for the assassins, and we see John make use of these to get to the bar. If the facility only served assassins and members of the high table, then such secrecy would not be required. There are a lot of people in these hotels, and only a few seem to recognize John Wick. Since almost every assassin affiliated with the organization knows him well, we can assume that the others are regular civilians. The entire purpose of the Continental hotels is to hide in plain sight, offer discretion and anonymity for the assassins, and it wouldn't be so secretive if there was a grand hotel in the middle of the city that does not allow people to check in. One might argue that the people don't react too much to violence inside the hotel, and the civilians wouldn't be so cool about watching bodies drop around them. Well, firstly, the hotels do have a strict no-violence policy, which means that violence on hotel premises occurs once in a blue moon. Besides, we have already seen that people are somewhat desensitized to violence across the cities. They have walked past people shooting each other, and rarely do we see the common folk panicking and running away. It is quite likely that violence and killings are so usual in the John Wick universe that people don't react the way they would under usual circumstances. Overall, we believe that the Continental hotels also allow normal civilians into their facilities as long as they can pay the big bucks to check in. At least it seems like the smart thing to do. How does such a major and eventful establishment stay away from undue attention from cops and other nuisances? The Continental hotels have the remarkable ability to hide in plain sight, and the secret lies in the efficiency of the hotel staff and management led by the manager. As discussed earlier, the manager is someone with great experience and knowledge of the underworld, and his especially trained team ensures that the hotel keeps away from such undue attention. The assassin clients of the hotel are exclusive and known faces, and the secrecy of their identities and actions is protected carefully by the management. The unassuming appearance of the Continental hotels surely help in blending in with the other major big hotels in the city, and doesn't draw much attention to themselves. As for the cops and law enforcement agencies, it is quite evident from the movies that the high table exercises control over everything. Cops turn a blind eye to the actions of the assassins, and in return, the assassins try to keep things discreet, and the Continental hotels offer them the perfect ground for that. Clearly, the cops wouldn't have a problem with the Continental Hotel when they don't have a problem with the bodies piling up on the streets.
Well done. Could you do a rush order? I sure can.
Exploring the currency used by assassins to avail Continental services. There is a small price to pay in order to avail the well-organized services of the Continental Hotels. One has to check in by paying a special gold coin. That is a general mode of transaction in the assassin world. These coins are probably minted by the high table, and it is used to pay for just about anything in the underworld. A single coin ensures a room and access to weapons and tactical gear, or even grabbing a drink can cost extra. However, there is no set definition regarding the mode of payment, and there is no assigned price for any service, so it can be assumed that the coins mostly work as a token of approval. It has a standardized value, which means that these coins are more symbolic than having a specific monetary significance.
Baba Yaga.
Who is the mysterious owner of the global chain of Continental Hotels? Winston is the manager of the Continental Hotel in New York, and he has a lot of powers and resources at his disposal. However, he is not the owner, and we have seen that the high table reserves the right to order him to step down from his position. So, who is the actual owner of this global hotel chain? There cannot be a single answer to this because nothing has been clearly established in the movies. It does seem likely that these hotels are a part of the high table's properties, and there is no single owner of these facilities. They employ the manager to run the hotels, but the actual command always stays with the organization. It could also be a possibility that these hotels are owned by the Elder, who is the leader of the high table, and he uses the hotels to keep an eye on every activity in the underground from a distant location in the middle of the Moroccan desert. One of the 12 council members of the high table, or a leader of organized crime family, could own the hotels as well. But technically, it would still be classified as high table's property. Do let us know in the comments below what you think about the Continental Hotels and their true origins. Feel free to tell us about your own views on the possible theories and which ones appeal to you the most.